I have a problem with making art. I always end up making art that others want me to make or things that I feel like I'm supposed to make, but not necessarily what I want to make. So I don't really enjoy making art like I used to. I remember as a child, I would just draw the most random things, and I would just experiment a lot with different styles. So as a child, as I still am now, I really love video games. I used to love it more when I was younger, so I would play video games like Legend of Zelda or Smash Bros. Or, funny enough, a lot of sports games. I don't really play those anymore, but inspired by those stories, I would make all kinds of different and creative characters. And I would, of course, like many people will do, I would make my own characters. So I just have this long list of OCs that at this point, I no longer even draw or even remember. So a part of now versus then is that social media has become this place where it's kind of like a rat race in a way, where you end up making things not necessarily just for yourself or really just for the algorithm. For what are people actually wanting to see? What do people know you for? And so they just want to consume and consume and consume. And I'm a part of that as well. I go to Instagram or I go to Twitter and I'm just like, let me look at this really cool artist. Let me look at see what they're making. And I just want to see more of that. And nothing's necessarily really wrong with that. But if you're not careful, like me, you'll end up really just making things that aren't necessarily what you care about. And not just from social media, but also in a professional capacity as well. So through that process, I've kind of forgotten what it's like to be an artist, which is funny because I make art all the time. And I do so professionally. I'm a multimedia artist. I do like 3D, some 2D work, illustration. I do a lot of graphic design. So a part of that problem is that I end up making all kinds of different art and none of it is really mine. So I make it for other people and I make it for other purposes because it's design. But it's nothing that I truly, really enjoy from my core. I enjoy doing it. Like I'm an artist. I enjoy making art, but it's not necessarily the things that I want to make. So through that process, I've forgotten how to be an artist for myself. I've forgotten what it's like to just make something because you feel like making it or you're creative. So about a year ago, I had just gone through this, that wasn't even a year ago. It's probably like 3 years ago now. Man, time flies. But I just spent a whole year just learning how to 3D sculpt characters in sort of like NPR non-photorealistic rendering in Blender. And I just spent the whole year doing that. Learning how to sculpt characters, faces, make hands, all kinds of different things. And that was a really fun experiment. And I did it over a course of a year and I had a blast doing it. You could say it took a whole year, but I learned a lot in that process. And a lot of the stuff I use now is actually on our channel. I've kind of just fallen off of doing that. Most of my time has been consumed by the art and stuff that I do for my job rather than the art that I do for myself, which has kind of become a problem for me. So in that problem, I've forgotten what art truly means for myself. I forgot why I make art. I've forgotten why it's so important that I continue doing this. So it kind of creates this lack of direction, and that's not a fun thing to have, especially as an artist. So in college, high school, and younger, I would be like, I want to be a concept artist. I knew I wanted to be a concept artist. Like I knew that in my soul. And so I was just going down that path line, doing like character turnarounds, character sheets, doing all kinds of that stuff. And I kind of feel like concept art was kind of hot like in mid 2000s. And so I was going that direction. But for some reason, I think at some point I learned like how much you actually get paid or how competitive it is to be a concept artist. And I was like, no. And so I hit this point, similar to where I'm at right now, where I'm like, where am I going? What am I going to do here? And I chose animation of all things, 3D modeling, 3D animation, and I got a degree in it and it had nothing to do with what I was doing before, but I did have to go to a period of doing different kinds of random art stuff. Like I ended up doing going for a graphic design degree at one point and not deciding to do that. That's why I ended up on animation. But I think foundationally, all those different experiences is what built me up to this point to where I can do different kinds of mediums. And that's kind of what I do for work now. Funny enough, it was really a God thing, to be honest, that it ended up working out that way. But because of those different kinds of art things, I'm still trying to figure out what does art mean to me, and I have to kind of figure that out now. One of the problems with doing that, though, is that feel like I've lost some time, having gone to different kinds of art fields, but at the same time, I've learned a lot of skills, but I'm also haven't really progressed in the way that I wanted to. So I mentioned I wanted to go in concept art, and so I was intentionally practicing towards that. But now, because I have different skill sets, and I've kind of forgotten what it's like to just make art and make the things I care about, I've kind of forgotten what is the thing that I kind of care about and that I kind of like making, which makes it kind of difficult to have a sense of direction of where that is. So it's something that I have to work with now, something I have to figure out now, and it's kind of challenging, but I believe I'm finding my way. One thing that's also part of the challenge is accepting personal criticism or art criticism and advice. Well, not really advice, but people's opinions related to your art. You know, as a child or just when you're younger, I think your entire life as an artist, a lot of who you are, a lot of your self-esteem is kind of wrapped up in the work that you create, typically. And I know when I was younger, when I was just hearing what other people thought about the work that I was creating, or I would go for their opinion and they would just be either nonchalant or not so much care about it, that kind of hurts you a little bit, makes you not want to show your art at all. But eventually, I know you kind of have to build a backbone when you're making art, for anything you're making, especially when you're in a professional work context. Criticism is actually pivotal. You need criticism. You need to make sure that the work you're making is like the best for what the client or whatever your job requires, and that's kind of a part of it. But when you're younger, it's a whole different thing. You're in a different section of your life, and it's more about improving and growing rapidly. So when you reach the second point of your life, when you're in the workplace or doing freelance, that you've built up enough skill necessary to just know what criticism to look for and what to accept and what to weed out. But the other flip side of that is you'll get other people's opinions about your art that aren't critical or not useful, and you kind of just have to just let that go a little bit, and not really focus on any of their opinions, and just focus on making the art that you want to make, especially if it's non-critical, or it's just disparaging, or it has nothing to do with what you're making. Especially in the online environment, you can kind of run into that where people are like, just opinions everywhere. Twitter is like the absolute worst place for this, but sometimes can be the best place. Twitter's kind of like I don't even know what to say about Twitter. But that can be kind of a balance you kind of have to work out and work with. So what I plan to do differently is that I want to actually prioritize the art that I love more. I want to prioritize practicing and developing my skills in the way, in the direction that I want to go, without direction, I just kind of meander, and I kind of just walk around in kind of circles and all kinds of directions. But I need to prioritize my skills, not just so that I can grow creatively, and kind of feel a part of me that just loves creating, but also that prioritizing your skills also kind of helps you in a creative environment as well. When you're especially I say when you're in the adult world, when you're working, you're your own guiding post now. There's no guidepost like in college or high school and just go to this milestone and now you got your degree, or go here, you've taken this class. Now you have to be the one that directs your path. You have to choose that path. However, there are some great tools online for that, like courses that can kind of help you develop the specific skills that you want to go to, but you have to know where you're trying to go. So now I want to prioritize when I'm making more so that I can be more effective and more creative in the environments that I'm in, whether it be work, or personal, or for this YouTube channel. I want to create more interesting stuff that I really care about, and I like to do that more in the future. But a part of that is that I want to also engage more with the art community, especially Christian artists in this community, because I don't really know where they are. I feel like they're like a rare breed or something, or I'm a rare breed. I've never met, actually that's a lie. I have met other Christian artists, but it's far and far between. And I'd like to meet more of you guys. If you guys are out there, say hello, drop in the chat, not really the chat, the comment section. This is YouTube. Say hi, especially if you're animators. But I want to get more into community and start engaging with other artists and other creative people, because right now I'm kind of isolated. I know I'm talking to some of you guys, but right now when I'm just working, I just work and I do the art stuff there, and then I come home and then I do some YouTube stuff and then I sleep. It doesn't leave much time for practice, but I need to figure out how to do that. So I want to prioritize really developing my skills, so I can be more effective, but also it brings me joy to do creative stuff and to create. And God is a creator, and he created artists to kind of be like a picture of that as well. And I'm entirely blessed and humbled to actually have such abilities for this purpose, and to help others with that. Also, a part of being a community is that you can kind of network, like sword sharpens sword or iron sharpens iron. So I want to do that a lot more, because I think that's incredibly important for artists to be in community, specifically for that purpose as well. Also, I kind of want to stop making excuses in this process as well. Like, you have to take accountability. I need to take more accountability and managing my time better and making sure that I specifically prioritize and take the time necessary to develop these skills and to make art that I actually care about, make art that I want to make, and not just what others make. It's incredibly important to do that. But I hope some of this has been useful for you guys, and you guys can take some of this and take hold of that, and hopefully this can be of benefit to you guys. Thanks for watching. Continue to develop your skills, continue to make art that you want to make, not just art that you make for other people. And yeah, thanks guys. God bless. Peace.